As we all know, the world is a complicated place these days, and I wanted to start actually with Gordon and ask you about the situation in the United States and in Washington, D.C. Where are we right now with the Russia inquiry, which will be the chief shaping factor as we go forward this year into the Trump presidency?
Well, one of the things that has struck me about the investigation thus far is that we've already seen the indictment of the National Security Advisor, the indictment of the campaign manager, the indictment of the campaign manager's deputy, the indictment of a foreign policy advisor. And notwithstanding these four indictments, which in normal times would create quite a stirring, quite a controversy, there's an expectation that the investigation is going to lead to more criminal indictments. Robert Mueller, who used to be the head of our Federal Bureau of Investigation, is a legendary prosecutor. He assembled an excellent team of associates who have a lot of experience in pursuing organized crime and money laundering. And I think the money laundering aspect of this investigation is what is most likely to turn up the most dramatic possibilities of further charges. How high they go, I don't know.
And could you enlighten us as to, so we get a good grip, a good understanding of the situation, on the legal situation of the president as such? I mean, if Mueller does produce some kind of, well, not testimony, but actually proof or credible indication that there has been malfeasance or criminal acts, what does that imply for the White House? And what is the procedure?
Notwithstanding your request for not long-winded answers,
okay.
Let me go back just a little, give a little bit of historical context because it very much answers your question. Since we're not a parliamentary democracy, governments don't fall, rise or fall. Mm-hmm. The venue for removing high officials from office, including the president, is the impeachment process. It's a two-step process. Impeachment requires a majority vote of the House of Representatives, or lower house. That's akin to an indictment. Then if a president is impeached, then action moves to the Senate, the upper house, where it takes a two-thirds majority to convict. In our history, the impeachment of the president has really been seriously in play 3 times. Once was in 1868, right after our Civil War. President Andrew Johnson was impeached, but was not convicted by the Senate. It was one vote short. President Nixon would have been impeached and convicted, but he stepped down knowing that. And President Clinton was impeached, but was acquitted by the Senate on a partisan vote. Given the composition of the House, which is in Republican hands, I do not believe it is at all likely, as a matter of fact, I believe it's highly unlikely that President Trump would be impeached this year.
And for the procedure to be started?
For the procedure to be started, I believe it would require in the midterm elections in November 2018 for the House to turn over to the Democrats, which is a quite possible, even likely possibility.
So in case the Democrats manage to take over the House in the midterm elections in late autumn this year, there might be a possibility, we are not speaking about chances, we are speaking about possibilities, probabilities, that they would launch an investigation. Would there be first some kind of conclusive evidence from the Mueller inquiry?
Mueller investigation. Okay. My guess is that would be the sequencing. I would imagine the investigation would conclude by the end of this year.
Gordon, you are the former U.S. ambassador to Tunisia, so you are versed in analyzing political risk. What would that imply if you look from a perspective of another country? If the U.S. president gets, if the procedure starts, what would that imply for world order and international relations? What would that mean?
Well, I think that what we would see would be a continuation of what I see as a former diplomat as a very unsettling and unfortunate trend in any event, which is under the Trump administration, an abdication of the U.S. role in the world. I think that would only intensify if there was an impeachment proceeding.
Who might run against Donald Trump, assuming that he continues to be president until the end of the term? There have been, vast speculation about celebrities and famous spouses possibly running.
Well, to knock off the famous names off the list, I do not believe Michelle Obama will run. I don't believe Oprah Winfrey will run. But the number of U.S. senators who have indicated a great interest in running is, probably 5 or 6 senators from New York, New Jersey, California are all frequently mentioned as possibilities. The mayor of Los Angeles. I think we're going to see probably just as we saw in the 2016 Republican primaries, where there were something like 16 or 17 candidates. I think there are going to be a high number of candidates. What's also interesting is whether former Vice President Biden will run. That's a real possibility.